Okay, this is going to be a backstrap masterclass video. I'm going to specifically focus on the backstrap. I got inspired to do this from a guy that lives up in Tennessee, which won't hold that against him being from Tennessee, but McGee Homestead Adventures, I'll leave a link down there in the description because that's what people who ain't cavemen do. You heard me, McGee. So anyways, first of all, what is a backstrap? Well, it's right here. It's these big long muscles. It runs from the hip and it runs way up, up past these shoulders. These shoulders are still connected. The shoulders even hide a good portion of it right here. So which I hope, if the deer is bloody, I open mine up before I let them hang. But anyways, that's what a backstrap technically is. A lot of people call it tenderloin. And then on the inside over here, that's technically a tenderloin. I leave the fat on it just to help protect it because it keeps them a little prettier and keeps from drying up as much. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. That's another video, another time. That's technically a tenderloin. This is technically a backstrap. So now that you know what it is, I'm going to show you first how to remove it and then how to clean it up later. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways of taking it out. As far as I know, there's 3 main ways. I'm going to show you how to do it hanging first, because let's be honest, most of y'all is going to be at the house. If you're doing it at the house, you're going to have it hanging from a tree or a garage or a, engine pulling, whatever, Anyways, so this is how most of y'all will probably be doing it. So first thing I do is on this belly meat on this side, I'll go ahead and get it out of the way, and you got to be careful not to hit your innards right here. So just get that belly meat out of the way. That's all you're trying to do. Then, it's better if you go ahead and remove these first, because when that knife goes through the spine, you'll cut your tenderloins right in half if you ain't careful. So, I guess what I'm going to do on this one first, just go ahead and get it out of the way. Like I said, my camera person ain't the best, which I ain't the best neither. Anyways, I'll do another video on how to take this out. There we go. We'll throw it in the rib cage and get around to that later. Now, over here you can see this vertebrae coming out to the side. There's one there, they come all the way up. But right here at the front of this H-bone or hip, whatever you want to call it, you see it comes around right here in that little crease. So what I'm going to do is take this knife. Now that this tenderloin's out of the way, I'm going to come in right here, follow it, just like that. That's what we've done. We've cut all the way to the middle of the spine right there. Now, when that's done, you're going to see this natural line where it dips in the middle. On a poor deer, it's actually a hump because the tenderloin is sunk in, or the backstrap is sunk in. On a healthy deer, it comes all the way up and then sinks in right in the middle of the spine. Your back should do the same thing if you ain't poor. Physically poor, not financially. Financially, that's up to you, I guess. But anyways, you don't want to go dead center down the spine because your knife's going to hit it, and there's bumps that shoot off the side of the vertebrae, which y'all see here in a second. But anyways, you take it in there, turn your knife, and you just work your knife down. And you don't want to hit it dead center like I was saying earlier. You want to go off to the side a little bit. Now, normally you'd want to go ahead and have your shoulder out of the way, and you can just go all the way down and take the neck off with it too. But since it's specifically a backstrap video, we're going to do that and come straight out. And this is kind of what you're looking at right here. But anyways, now that you got that done, you come back to the side. I'm going to move a little more of this belly meat. There we go. Now this is going to be kind of hard to do, but this vertebrae runs right here. I'm just going to kind of get it started and let you see kind of what's going on. You can see right here, it runs straight up, kind of at a slightly upwards angle. If you got your vertebrae straight up and down, the side vertebrae of the backbone comes up this way. Some people call it a feather bone this way or a side feather bone. It ain't just 90 degrees. It does that just a little bit right here. So anyways, I'm going to follow that. Try to meet up with my first cut. Now that's coming out. Now, you just follow that curvature of that backbone, and you just go down. And you see how close I'm getting. It helps if you pull the meat out as you're doing it, because it'll help pull that meat up from the vertebrae right here, from the side feather bone. That's how much meat's in between them each time. Now, Most people gut deer pretty bad, and it ain't worth taking this off because it'll have all kind of gut juice and stuff on it. But anyways, right here, these bones are slightly angled up and they're not 90 degrees, but as soon as you hit the rib cage, that changes. Because then they start changing their angle just a little bit. Because actually, the ribs come up round, kind of like this, and then they flatten off right up here at the top, and they're almost 90 degrees. Some deer actually come up and actually dip back down. So instead of being down dipped this way, the ribs kind of dip like this. So they kind of helix a little bit. So when you're pulling that knife down, you can see just how close I got to these bones every time, even the dips in and the dips out. Part of that was because I was pulling it out and literally pulling the meat out of the bones as I was doing it, which that's a good thing. So you just come on down, and there it is. There's your back strap. Now that's how you take it off while it's hanging. Now I'm going to show you how to take it off when it's on the table. Okay, now here's how you take it off on the table. Personally, if it's got a little extra fat, I just get rid of that first. Personal preference. Now right here, you got a little seam between that belly meat and the leg. Don't follow that, missing those tenderloins there. Down here, just like so. If you come over here, you can take a better look. Now I barely got on the back strap, and that's fine too. But then you can see this natural crease right here, the way the ribs flow. Now, you're gonna get this out of your way. Just get it gone. Then you want to take his inner loins out, or his tenderloin. I ain't gonna get into detail about this, but that's another video, another time. Now, you can take your back strap out without anything being in the way. So, right here, same concept. See that curve of that hip where that H-bone comes up to a point. If you have to, reach down there and feel for it. And then you don't go straight down, you actually got to angle back just a little bit. Just like so. And once it's down there, turn your knife, and it's the same concept. And like I was saying earlier, if the shoulders are off and out of the way, then you can just come on out the top, like so. I'm just going to go ahead and remove this neck right fast. Alright, I could finish that later, but for now we're just doing a backstrap video. Now at this point, you're going to come down here and come on back. See, I'm right-handed, so I went to me this way, and I'm going to turn around and make one cut and come back this way. So, same thing, you got to understand where those backbones go. Feel for them if you have to. You can actually see where they dip in right there, where it goes from bone to being meat squishing down. So, come in like this. And make sure that you can feel bone. Like there's that feather bone coming straight out of the spine right there. Here's the ribs. Make sure you can feel them. If you have to, like you see the knife biting down past the rib, then you come out over it. See how I'm just kind of like walking over, skating over. Go down till you hit the next bone. Skate over, next bone. Skate over, next bone. See there? You can see them bones pretty vividly. And that's how you get super close with a knife. When I get at the end of the ribs here, I just come straight out. Because once again, the ribs are at a different angle than what your just plain vertebrae is back here. These are a little more down this way. But still, once again, you want to make that knife push against them, and you can see that knife flexing. Flex it against that, and just come on down. And I'm pulling the meat back at the same time. Now right here is the little bumps I was telling you about. The further back you go, the more pronounced they get. That knife will come down, you hit a bump, and that bump comes out and back down. I'll make it look a little, I'll trim it a little more just to further exaggerate it. Now it may not look very noticeable, but it ain't just a straight shot. There's this bump ridge, like bump, bump, bump all the way down. And if you was come this way and miss it, you're gonna lose, that much backstrap. And vice versa, if you just come over here and miss it, you're gonna lose this much. So you need to make sure you hit it both sides and then just kind of peel off that corner right there. That's where a lot of people will miss this unless you do it all the time. But that's the bump trick on it. The only other way of taking this off is to go ahead and take all the hams and twist the backbone up and set it on the table like this. The whole rib cage and everything, set it like this with the neck up here and the hip down here. If you want to see that method, go look at my video of how to process a deer in 30 minutes, because I don't explain it, but I show it in that video. But now we're fixing to move on to different methods of trimming up the tenderloin and why you do it that way. Okay, now here we're getting into the backstrap trimming. Now, you're going to notice you got your main backstrap here. When you trim it this way, you're going to end up with pieces of a neck muscle on there and other muscle that ain't backstrap. Also, you got the fat cap running down the back. Now, you need to remove this fat cap before you do any trimming, before you do any fish skinning, which I'll explain fish skinning here in a little bit. The reason being, if you notice, you look at this fat cap, it's thicker in some areas, thinner. This has got a bump right here. It's wavy, it's inconsistent. So if you try to trim it out while the fat cap is still on here, the knife is going to cut flat. So if that knife cuts through flat and you got all these bumps under it, when you finally take the fat cap away, you're going to have all these dips in your meat, and you're going to actually lose meat under that circumstance. So the best thing you can do, and at least in my experience, is I'm going to show you the minimal effort to get a back strap, and then I'm going to show you the really clean version of a back strap, and you can come up with your own methods. But there's a muscle here in the back where it actually splits this back strap right here near the back half. So if you ain't careful when you're ripping this off, it's right in there. It's hard to see right now, but it'll actually tear off a piece of your back strap if you're not careful. So what I do is I reach in there like that, and I don't peel from this side, I peel from the side that it ain't gonna hit. I come all the way back, and then when I rip down, I'm ripping with the muscle instead of against the muscle, so it has a better chance of staying intact. So just like that. You can actually see it trying to divide right there. I'll go ahead and split it just a little bit just to show you. It runs right through there. So if you rip this way, you'd have lost that much of your back strap. But now the rest of it's in line, you peel it off. And some of this has got too much fat and bloodshot, so that ain't going home with the customer. I don't even do that to dogs. So now if you look on the back, see how flat and smooth and pretty this is? When this lays on the table now it's flat. Now you've got a back strap to work with. Now, if you're just getting to the back strap, remove some of these neck muscles right here. Just get in between the seams. Like so. A little bit of fat. Deer fat ain't a good thing. Now, the rest of this ain't going to kill you if you eat it. So now what you do, it's kind of like if you ever fillet a fish, roll it over and then roll his meat out of the skin. That's what you're trying to do with this silver skin down the back. So now what I'm going to do is you get halfway or way back here or whatever. You know, you don't want to start up here. There's another piece of sinew that also cuts this back strap right here. You can actually see it in between the silver skin, and that actually kind of curls up into the meat, kind of like this, which we'll explain on the next one. So minimal effort wise, you go down until you hit that silver skin, just like so, and you turn your knife just like this. You're putting pressure on that table, like so. You want to be flat. You don't want to be up like this or down. You want to be flat on that table, pretty close to that silver skin, and just come on out. When you do that, it leaves this behind, very minimal stuff, and you can trim that up even further if you want, just like so. You can get this thing just as clean or whatever as you want if you're real picky about it. Obviously, as a processor, I'd have chunked all that because we just ain't got time. We got too many deer to go through. But that's how you do that. And here you can kind of see better that silver skin I told you was tearing up into the muscle. So anyway, some people don't care about it. That's a back strap. That ain't pretty. That's definitely not the product I send out. But if you're at the house, rip your fat cap off, cut it that way, turn it around back this way, and repeat the process. Just like so. And then right here you can see that seam now. I want to divide it in two. So you just kind of trim that off. And that silver skin, I don't even do that to dogs. You also got a piece right here that kind of hugs. Some people leave it, some don't. If you want to take it off, you can kind of do like that, but once again, no big deal. So there's another back strap. That's going to be what most people would eat. That's minimal work to get into it. If you want to slice it, you come back and do like this. No big deal there. So then you got little steaks look kind of like that. So that is the minimal effort back strap. Now we're going to show you the high quality version of that. And it starts off kind of the same. Right here, I actually start trimming just a little bit. So I can actually expose that seam. You actually see that muscle trying to tear right there now. I'm going to get behind it. And that one's a little bloody too. So we're not going to keep that. Now while it's flat, got that silver skin flat on the ground, or flat on the table here, I'm about to trim this thing up and make it look pretty. So, you want to take off thin shavings at a time, kind of like this. You don't want to take a big old chunk out because you're going to lose a whole bunch of meat. You want to take off just thin shavings at a time. So, I'm going to kind of do this. Just thin little shaving, making it pretty, coming on around. And it's better to start from the top and work your way down, removing any of that little silver skin and stuff you see, any piece of film, because if you're trying to get the extremely clean version of this. Same over here. Taking it down. And right down here, you can actually see how the tenderloin, or the back strap, hooks down like this. There's that neck muscle. Now I'm taking off even the film right now. Now right here, there's a couple ways of doing this. You can either take this off now, or you can fish skin it, flip it over, then take this little piece that cuts off about a third of it. Personally, I take it off right now. A lot of the times, I'm hugging that table right now and I'm coming out. So now, there's how much of it's left. That's got a piece of sinew in it, but it ain't a bad piece. That's a piece of grinder we'll chew up very well. Now we come back. Just trimming this up, just like so. Now, obviously you can see the difference between that and this, right off the bat. So now we're going to fish skin it. And it's the same process. Now you can start back here where it really don't make a dang, but just go somewhere, hit that silver skin, and come on out with it. Now there's a little bit of film here. Some people don't care about the film. You can see from how dull it is to how shiny it gets. This is film. Now, if you're making cube steak, you cannot have any film because it wads up and it looks like snot when it goes through that cuber. Nobody likes to chew on snot. And if they do, they don't like to admit they like doing it. But anyways, we're going to do that, get rid of just a little bit more. And that's what it looks like after you've trimmed it up. Now that is just 100% meat. No silver skin, no film. Just straight meat, but you see how small it tapers up down on this end. That's what you're looking, that's what it's going to look like. Now the back side, same thing. Get your knife going. Get it out. If you missed any, you come back, trim it up. And then here's that little piece of sinew right here. I'm going to trim it up, make it look pretty. So there you go. Now that's what it looks like if you trim the crap out of it. As opposed to that, this looks a little prettier. And then when you cut steaks out of it, they will also look a lot prettier. Because that's what you end up with right there. So that's how that's accomplished. So hopefully that was a good demonstration. Hopefully y'all know all the extra ways the sinew runs in the back strap, what you can do to get around it, why people would do that. Sinew is bad, in my opinion it is, because that's always a wad you can't chew up, but some people like that. I personally don't like film. I like it as tender as I can get it. You can see this film right here grabbing up. Like I can actually grab the film. You can see that stuff. You can't do that on a piece of just clean, bare meat. There's nothing to grab. So that's kind of the difference. Hopefully that was educational enough for y'all. I'd do y'all I'd break down a whole deer for y'all, but it's gonna take too much and I ain't got enough time right now. But anyways, if y'all get time, go look at McGee's Homestead Adventures. I'll leave a link once again. Hopefully he learned something on this. But either way, we'll holler at y'all later.